Happy Friday, everybody. I'm Tammy from Acclaimed.
I'm Kevin from Acclaimed Heating and Cooling and Furnace Cleaning, and we are co-owners of Acclaimed and done that for a long time. Today we're going to question on Dear Keven that's kind of something that came up really early on when we started doing this for a living.
Yeah, the question was, well, we'll get to it, but stay tuned for the confused homeowner that's coming on.
Cliffhanger.
All right, here we go. Ready for it?
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay. Dear Kevin, since winter is on the horizon, my wife and I have been working to winterize our home before the snow falls. That's an impressive sentence right there.
It is, because how many people actually are proactive?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I suggest that we schedule furnace and duct cleaning, but she's adamant that there's no value in getting it done. What is the point of furnace and duct cleaning, and why should someone get it done? Signed, confused homeowner, which is a lot of us.
It is.
But you know what? This question resonates strong for us, well, for me when I read the letter, because we would have had a very similar conversation or dueling that would have happened about 30 years ago. Only I would have been the one that was adamant to get it done, and you were adamant about not getting it done.
That's right.
And why don't we explain what happened there?
Why don't we? Well, let me tell you my first explanation.
Okay.
First house, just starting out, no money, priorities, and me thinking that, come on now, is that really necessary?
This is not something that we get done. So we had renovated a little small house, and I grew up with furnace and duct cleaning, my parents doing it on a regular basis. And when I say regular, probably every couple of years. And I would see what they would do, and the big truck would pull up and have the bags on the top, and I didn't really understand why or what they were doing. I just knew that we were supposed to do it. And I'm pretty, like my dad says, we need to do it, we need to do it. And you thought...
Well, that's funny. You say, you know, your dad said you have to do it, so you have to do it.
Yes.
I guess I'm more argumentative than that.
Yes.
And what I would say is that, come on now, what can be in ducts and what's the big deal there? I'll just kind of get the vacuum down there and do what I can with it.
The shop vac?
The shop vac.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that was kind of the end of it for a little while. And then what happened is that, you know, I got into the industry and started doing this type of work. And I was flabbergasted the first day that I was working on a truck like this in terms of what came out. So soon enough, we did our house, and the system that I thought was clean and not necessary to do anything, it had 2x4s in it, drywall pieces, big chunks of, you know, so many different things.
The drywall desk was a big component that was in there, and heavy. And deep, because you could only go as far as the shop vac would reach.
Right. So it's surprising to most people how much you get in, and you know, we did a renovation. I think we kept it pretty clean, but new houses, it's amazing what's in there.
Yeah,
and,
a lot of home
really
builders.
Yeah.
We hear from people that have built a house that the air ducts are one of the first things that go into the ground, and they make a super convenient dustpan.
They do.
Sweeping things into it, so
they do.
We get a lot of that stuff. We've had like old sandwiches pulled out of the air ducts.
Oh yeah, all sorts of things.
Yeah, plethora of stuff.
It was, and like going back to the question of why get your furnace and ducts cleaned. So that's like a big umbrella thing. But you know, most people get their furnace and ducts cleaned to keep the air in their house cleaner and to keep their equipment running efficiently. And you know, some people dispute the fact that air in the house is cleaner, but we hear time and time and time again from our clients that thank goodness we just had that done, because the air is so much cleaner for me to breathe and it feels so much better in here.
Yeah.
And that's true. And the high efficiency furnaces particularly, if they've got dust on them and debris going by with all the sensitive electronics in there, that really is not good for them, and they kind of will break in a dusty environment like that. So, you know, health concerns, definitely a big part of it, and it just feels cleaner in the house. And that's, again, our customers tell us every day. That's what the case is. So I say that's the number one reason to get done. Efficiency is another. You get 2x4s and things like that in there, which we pull out regularly. One time I pulled out a golf bag, right? And we don't see these things because like this huge vacuum is connected to your ducts, right? So we don't, when we're doing that work, we don't see all the stuff that comes out until we empty the truck and the barrels. And it's like, how did I not see that going into the truck? You know,
just sucks up so quickly.
Yeah.
So the, you know, a lot of people would think I don't need my furnace cleaned because the furnace is that one unit downstairs, and I can just wipe it down and clean up or vacuum it out.
Yeah.
But the furnace and ducts, it's the ducts that are the issue mostly. Would you say?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. So anybody over the age of 40 would remember the show Cheers, super popular back in its day.
Yes.
Probably younger guys have never even heard of it. There's a character for everybody. I'm going to be Cliff Clavin. And Cliff Clavin is a know-it-all who always tell people stuff. I don't think
Fun
his is
facts.
true. Fun facts with Cliff Clavin today.
Yes.
So, we belong to an organization called NADCA. It's the Professional Association for Duct Cleaning Companies, National Air Duct Cleaners Association.
That's what I was going to ask what it stood for.
Yeah,
Thank you.
National Air Duct Cleaners Association.
Perfect.
It's a highfalutin group, so that's where all the best of the best kind of have associations and learn. So, we go to conventions, and at one of the conventions they were going through this in terms of, why do customers, when they call, ask for furnace cleaning? So why do you and companies kind of advertise for furnace cleaning when really people are generally calling for their ducts to be cleaned, and that's the most important thing? And it goes back to the beginning of time when people started using a furnace in their house, which was really just a coal-fired, kind of steel drum. And
Sort
there
of
were
a central heating system with nothing else attached?
no ducts attached,
Okay.
right? So when people get their furnace cleaned, there literally weren't any ducts, so they were
Okay.
getting the furnace cleaned. Same thing when it moved into coal, oil, and natural, and for some reason it stuck. And I was there and I was thinking, God, come on, that sounds really far-fetched. And they're showing all these pictures. And then I actually thought to myself, that is so strange, but it's absolutely true, because people call us every day saying, hey, I need my furnace cleaned.
That's
and
Yes.
fun fact.
Fun fact. Okay, so to sum up this, what is the point? Would you say this would be fair that I've summed up, and pipe in if I'm missing anything? Aesthetics, so to reduce the amount of dust in your home. So
Yep.
a lot of people will experience dust on furniture and coffee, like things like that they notice.
Right.
That would improve the air quality, which would convert into health benefits.
Absolutely.
The efficiency of your furnace, so it would improve how hard your furnace has to work if it has to move all that dirty air through it.
Right. There's all sorts of dust in the air that you can't see until you see like that beam of light.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because when we clean the ducts as well, you were talking about having dust on furniture and stuff like that. You're always going to have that unless you're
Yeah.
not doing any living in the house, because every day you're making dust. We just don't realize it. But that minimizes it a lot, and it takes those health concerns away.
Now, the timing of when to do it, how often to do it, we always recommend after renovation, because that's when we get all the beautiful drywall dust and stuff out of the air ducts. How does someone decide, first of all, what are the indicators that people would look at and find if they wanted or needed to have air ducts cleaned?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So open up your cold air return ducts in your house and
Then
take a
what
look
is
at the
that?
condition. The cold air return ducts in your house are the larger grates. See here, this way and that way. They're on the wall typically.
Okay.
And those are the larger ones. They've got two screws going in. Those are what takes the air back to your furnace to heat up. The other ones, which are the ones on the floor, the smaller ones, those are where the heat comes out of. So heat comes out, air has to go back into the furnace, and they get through there. So that's the easiest place to look to see what's going on in there. There's huge factors.
Okay.
In our house, it's a very active house. If we had cats, which we don't, but if we had 2 cats, we could do furnace and duct cleaning in our house every year and get lots of stuff out of the ducts, right? So a lot
shedding
of plants.
animals for the...
Shedding animals, but all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And your sensitivity to dust and the environment is another huge factor. We've got a very large proportion of clients that get it done every year because it's very important for them to have the cleanest, healthiest air. They want to make sure that doesn't get away from them. And there's a big difference. And I always compare our household with cats to perhaps a retired couple that has hardwood floors and they don't get out a whole lot, and so there's not a whole lot of stuff being created in the air for dust, and so those folks may not experience a benefit for 3 or 4 years. So it's very different depending on your sensitivities to allergies and dust, and also your family and your environment. And one more thing to add to that,
Okay.
common question: how Tammy, how often should people change their furnace filters?
I would say you'd look at it monthly to see what you've got piling up on top of that air duct. I would say at least, it depends on your household.
Oh, excellent
Right, right.
answer!
Do I have
Excellent
that
answer.
right?
You got
Okay.
that right. Now most people want to know.
Ding, 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 ding.
Okay, that's fantastic. But please tell me how often I need to change it. Again, you can use the same analogy. In our house, we have to change our filters like all the time.
Which means?
Which means that you are checking it monthly to see if it's okay or not, because otherwise if it plugs up you have problem after problem. And taking it out and checking it is really key, and that's the way you can find out. And again, that retired couple, you probably don't need to change the filter for at least a year at a time.
A year.
a year, bug-eyed.
Yeah.
My God, it's like, oh
So,
my God.
so you would look at it once a month to take a look and see what the gauge as to what you've got there. One of the things
Right.
we recommend, and I find really helpful, is that when you have a bunch of air filters by your furnace, super easy to have a bunch there, maybe get 6 and sit there beside your
Yep.
furnace room. And then when you pull one out, you can compare it what a new one looks like. And new against old, then you get to see the discrepancy of what it looks like in terms of how
Right.
much dust is on there.
Yeah,
That'd be
it's
right.
that's such a great idea, and it's more important now than ever because so many people now have like filters that are kind of 4 or 5 inches wide, and the chances of you being able to go to Home Depot and even buying one that fits properly is really, really low
Yeah.
because there's 20 different kinds that are similar in size but not exactly the right size. And it's important to get one. And I know with us, what's really handy for our customers, if you buy a case or you buy 6 or more filters, you get a big discount with that.
Yeah.
And that way they sit down there, you don't have to worry about where to get them from, and they should last you 2 or 3 years. So it's a really, really smart thing to do, not really expensive, and you get a big discount on it.
And reduce the stress level looking for that weird, obscure filter.
I hate to say it, but I check our filter maybe every 3 months. And often I check it, and it needs replacing. And
Shoemakers, children without the shoes.
yeah, I know, and then I don't replace it for a while.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
hopefully we have a good connection with a mechanics company to fix our furnace.
Yeah, we'll have to call Acclaimed.
Yes. Okay, let's head over to the other stuff. Thank you for spending time with that question, Kevin. That was a big one. Last week you had Rob here. Rob
I did
from,
have Rob.
from Robart Electrical, and he is an amazing individual.
He is. He's such an amazing guy. He's a character. He loves people and he likes to help people. And that's the biggest thing with Rob that makes him so special is he truly likes and really values helping people and
Yeah.
educating them as to what they do. And that really shows with all the interactions. And he's got the energy of like the Energizer Bunny. Those batteries are replaced all the time and they just kind of go and go and go. And what a knowledgeable guy. Like amazing knowledge, and he's so happy and want to share that with other people.
Absolutely. And so you met with him. He did a Facebook Live with him last week.
I did.
And then you recorded some Q&A, questions and answers, to get to know Robart a little bit better and
Tell
what
me.
they do. Yes.
What is Q&A?
Questions and answers.
Oh, questions.
Yes.
And
All right.
answers.
And
Okay.
answers. And so those will start rolling out very shortly on our Facebook Live. And then he also donated a $100 gift card to Home Depot for our Facebook Live or Facebook watchers. So you like our Facebook page, you would like his Facebook page, and then there's probably a question that you have to answer. And that will be to stay tuned on to our Facebook page to see what that contest and the details are. But the $100 gift card, he also donated to that prize 25% off the installation of something that you purchased from Home Depot that is electrical related. So you don't have to buy something electrical related, but he will give you a bonus of 25% off him installing it, which is a bonus because I will buy stuff from Home Depot and someone I know will say, I'll do it.
That must be one of our kids, because usually I say, what did you bring home? I'm not going to get to that forever.
And then it sits in the box in a spot that I see for a long time.
Yeah, and that area builds up with a lot of boxes.
And then the box moves. And then
Where does it go?
I don't know. I have no idea. But not where I thought it was, and then it disappears, and then it doesn't get installed. So
I hide it.
yeah, so that's a value-added thing. Also, what's happening in Edmonton this weekend, we have a fun-filled day of potentially Saturday. So there's an Edmonton bike food tours that's on in Edmonton, and when we go to different cities, we go and explore different cities and try and get to know something from the locals and explore like either like breweries or foods, like a food tour. So Edmonton has their own bike food tours. Did you know that, Kevin?
I didn't know that, but that sounds really cool, because we would totally do that when we would visit a different city.
Yeah, so this company I just found, it has tours in Edmonton and in Vancouver. And it's a 6-hour tour, and you can take a look at the...
Oh, that sounds dangerous. Wasn't the SS Minnow on a 6-hour tour?
We just diverted
Well,
there.
there's another show, Gilligan.
Yeah, okay, back to this. So you can do that, and I saw that there were some openings for tomorrow. And then tomorrow night, you could go to the Edmonton against the Stampeders game. And I think that would be a really emotional-filled Coliseum or stadium.
It will be. It brings out a lot of hatred towards Calgary,
And vice versa.
vice versa.
Yes, and so you were mentioning about the significance of that event.
Yeah, a lot of generation probably before us there were not as many things to do back then. So football
Oh my
was like
kid.
a...
Back then,
way back then. I mean, you and I are 21 and 22.
Yes.
And so way back then. What I'm saying is that anybody my age or older, we didn't have anything to do.
We didn't have what the kids had to do.
No, we don't have anything to do. I knew I play with a stick and an old tire. I don't know about you.
Okay.
But anyway, so it has significance because it's a back-to-back game. So basically you play one game in Edmonton and one game in Calgary. So 2 back-to-back games. So after the first game, usually there's that extra rivalry there because of what happened in the first game.
Yep.
And I know it's really exciting for a lot of people. Probably the most exciting 2 games besides playoffs, counting on the fact that we make playoffs.
Of course we will.
Yeah.
Of course you will.
Yeah.
So anyway, that would be a fun-filled day if you did that tomorrow. You do the bike tour and then head over to the Eskimo game and watch that. If you can get some good seats, that would be amazing. And the weather's supposed to be decent tomorrow for a beautiful fall day. In terms of no sunshine, but it could be better than it could be, and not rain. I don't think until later in the evening. So bring your rain stuff. And Mallory says she's going to the game this weekend.
Awesome.
Mallory is
fantastic.
Is one of our family members at Acclaimed, and so she can report back on the energy in that game.
Hey, Mallory's the featured employee of the month.
Yes, she is on the Acclaimed newsletter. So to get into the Acclaimed Homeowners Club, there's a newsletter kind of link at the top of our website. If you click that, you can find out about Mallory. Mallory will also be featured this month as the featured employee on Facebook, which will be really cool, and Instagram.
It will be.
Yes, and Ashley's can't wait for the game tomorrow too. You know, we should be going to the game.
We should be going to the game too.
We should be going to
Yeah.
the game. All right,
See,
everybody.
I told you it was popular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful, wonderful long weekend, or not long weekend, but weekend filled with lots of activities. Stay safe, and we'll see you next Friday.
It is, and I'll finish the sign off being extra confusing once again to those people under the age of 40. Casey, this is for you. Oh, you're coming down the stairs at Cheers? Norm!